Everybody loves making fun of NIMBYs online, until the proposed development is behind their house. And right now, residents in West Manchester Township are fighting against a proposed data center project. Some people think the residents are overreacting. Others think they're protecting the future of the community. And honestly, I think both sides have points, because not every development is automatically bad, but not every development is automatically good either. And this conversation actually affects homeowners, buyers, property values, housing affordability, infrastructure, and the future of York County itself. So let's talk about it. If you've never heard the term NIMBY before, it stands for Not in My Backyard. It's usually used to describe residents who oppose new development near them. And online, the term gets thrown around, almost like an insult. People hear homeowners oppose something and immediately assume, oh great, another group of people trying to stop progress. And to be fair, sometimes that is what's happening. Some communities fight apartments, starter homes, townhomes, mixed-use projects, public transportation, or literally anything new. Sometimes because they're worried about traffic, parking, crowding, or let's be honest, sometimes because they don't want certain people moving into the area. And that kind of NIMBYism can absolutely make housing affordability worse. It pushes prices up, it limits inventory, and it makes it harder for first-time home buyers. And it can also freeze communities in time. But here's where it gets interesting. Not every resident concern is irrational. And not every project deserves automatic approval. Now, let's talk about the proposed data center in West Manchester Township. And before people start typing comments, no, this is not me saying the project is good or bad. This is me saying people should ask questions. Because data centers are not like building a coffee shop, a neighborhood restaurant, or a small office building. There are massive industrial scale facilities. And across the country, communities are debating them right now. Residents are asking things like, how much power will this use? What happens to infrastructure? What about noise from backup generators? How much traffic gets created during construction? How much water gets used for cooling? How many long-term jobs does it actually create? And what does it do to nearby property values? And honestly, those are all legitimate questions, because homeowners aren't crazy for wanting to understand how a major project could impact the place where they live, especially when many people bought their homes specifically in character of that area. And this is where I think people online oversimplify these conversations. A home is not just an investment. It's also your peace, your routine, your neighborhood, your evenings, your weekends, your family life. If someone suddenly proposes a massive project near your home, well, of course you're gonna care. Most homeowners aren't trying to stop all growth. They just want growth that makes sense. And honestly, that's not that unreasonable. Now here's where I think the conversation also gets uncomfortable. Because if communities reject everything, eventually you've created different problems. Housing shortages, higher home prices, and less opportunity for younger buyers. There's less business investment, and higher taxes are spread across fewer people. And then communities that slowly stagnate. York County is growing, and whether people like it or not, growth creates pressure. Pressure on housing, pressure on roads, pressure on schools, and more importantly, pressure on infrastructure. And communities have to decide, what kind of growth do we want? That's the real conversation. Not development's good or development's bad. As somebody in real estate, I think people assume agents just want constant development everywhere. But honestly, that's way too simplistic. Good development can absolutely improve communities. Revitalize downtowns, walkability, better local businesses, more housing options, fixing blighted properties. Those things can make an area more desirable. But poorly planned development, that can create backlash for decades. And one thing I've learned talking to homeowners across York County is this: people care deeply about where they live, and they should. I also think this conversation points to something bigger happening across the country. People feel disconnected from decision making. But a lot of residents feel like projects get announced, meetings happen, buzzwords get thrown around, and suddenly the character of an area changes forever. And whether you support this project or oppose it, I think most people can agree that communities deserve transparency. They deserve honest conversation about trade-offs, because every project has trade-offs. More housing, trade-offs. Commercial growth, trade-offs. Preservation, the question is, which trade-offs are worth it for your community? I don't think the answer is blindly opposing every project. And I also don't think the answer is blindly approving everything in the name of progress. Healthy communities need growth, but they also need thoughtful planning. And honestly, I think conversations like this are important, not just for homeowners, but for buyers too. Because when you buy a home, you're not just buying the house. You're buying into the future of the community around it. And that future gets shaped by conversations exactly like this one. So, now I'm curious. Where do you draw the line? What kinds of development improve a community? And what kinds go too far? Let me know down in the comments, because I genuinely think this is one of the most important conversations happening in growing communities right now.